The price of uranium has roughly tripled over the past 3 years as the global uranium supply and demand imbalance has become more apparent, especially in light of recent numerous geopolitical tensions and fractions. Panther Minerals is exploring and developing two uranium projects: the historically explored Boulder Creek project near Nome, Alaska, and the newly announced Huber Heights Uranium Project in Nevada. CEO Rob Birmingham and geologist and project manager Bob Weicker are here to tell us about Panther, their projects, and the opportunities in the fast-growing uranium market. I'm Martin Gago with Market Radius Research. It's Tuesday, July 23rd. Please remember, this is neither recommendation nor investment advice. We're here to learn about the company. Rob and Bob, thanks for joining us. And how are things going?
Very well.
Yeah, very, very well. Thanks for having us here today, Martin, and thanks for everybody to join and interested in hearing the story about Panther Minerals, where we came from and where we're going. We're excited.
Excellent. It's definitely a topical story you guys have. So why don't you walk us through the deck and tell us about Panther?
Yeah, definitely. So Panther Minerals, I'll walk through the deck here. We're a newly listed uranium-focused company with domestic projects in the United States. So I'll just walk through the deck and just, obviously there's going to be some questions at the end, but I think you're going to like the story and the way that we're going as far as advancing over the next few months. So our project is the Boulder Creek project. That's the company that we have. That's the project that we have, which is based in Alaska. Access to the project is through Anchorage. You fly to Anchorage, then you go through Nome, which is a very mining-friendly town. And there's also Elam, which is the closest town that's located to our property, which has been used historically by previous operators on our project. So we have access to the property through two different airstrips that can access our airstrip on our property, which I'll show a very good visual of a bit later in the presentation. So just to go over a summary of us and who we are, as far as our Alaskan property, when we on our onset of goals of where we wanted to be in the uranium space. We wanted to have a U.S.-based project that had significant previous work done on it, and we found that in Alaska. So the Boulder Creek project had millions of dollars spent on it, which equated to a non-compliant 43101 historical estimate of 0.27% U3O8 of 1 million pounds. So when we saw that, we got excited about this project. We got really good terms on it as well. As far as the terms go, it's cash payments throughout 10 years, 100,000 per year, no stock issuance on it. So as far as bringing the asset in, we were excited to bring it in for the right price, and then. Well, one of the first things that we did is we expanded the land package. So when we acquired the Boulder Creek, it was a bit of a smaller portion. It included the historical work, but it didn't include a lot of the other showings that we wanted to bring in. So the previous operator of the project was Tri-X Minerals and Full Metal Minerals, who had a joint venture. Bob Weicker, who's our chief geologist, who's on this call too, he was actually a previous director of Tri-X, and he's helped us manage kind of the opportunity of the district. So we decided to expand it 75 times, and we wanted to mirror what Tri-X had, which was not just the Boulder Creek historical estimate, but also other anomalies, including the fireweed portion, which is a target that came up with really strong samples. It's a huge anomaly on our project, and the peak samples we got back were 0.82% U3O8. So very substantial. We're excited about that as kind of the blue sky on our project. We know what we're getting with the Boulder Creek portion, where there's a historical estimate, and we will focus on that. And we want to make it compliant, but having the fireweed portion on the other side of our project really adds a lot of value, we think, to the project and to our shareholders. As far as infrastructure, it's plane access or helicopter access into our property. We do have an airstrip. As I said, I'll show you the picture a bit later in the presentation. We have an airstrip on site, which has been historically used by previous operators. There was a camp that was used on site, which we'd like to upgrade for our future work programs. And there's readily access to water. So we're situated quite well, but it is not drive access. We do need a fixed wing aircraft or helicopter to do our work on site.
Sorry, about how far is your property from Elm, Alaska? Oh, 48 kilometers
Elam,
there.
it's a bit over 40 kilometers. Oh yeah, it's there on the map there.
Yeah.
So we can use Elam, which is a smaller town, or that said, I mean, we're going to be using Nome quite a bit. That's where we'll barge a lot of our equipment into, and it's very mining friendly. There's a lot of mining workers based in Nome, and Elam we look to employ some people as well. So the access is it's a bit of a stretch as far as 48 kilometers, but it would be by fixed wing plane or by helicopter, as I said. So yeah, the opportunity in the nuclear space, as you on the onset went through, is really kind of mirrors what our thoughts are. We think it's the uranium price is, it's been strong. It's been the top, one of the top rated commodities as far as price increase over the last year and a half. So just the positive swing in the knowledge of the uranium space is really kind of fine-tuned a lot of retail investors, but also governments, and realizing that energy needed is going to be the best course forward in a lot of capacities would be through the uranium space and through nuclear power plants. So we just see such a positive side of the uranium space that that's kind of dictated the path we wanted to go forward. So why the U.S. Is that our focus? And I think the reason is, a fewfold. One is there's a really big resurgence on domestic production of uranium, and there's not much happening right now. So us having two U.S. focused uranium projects will really, fine tune kind of our storyline as far as us wanting to be a player in that situation too, and the fact that the U.S. currently imports pretty much all of its uranium, or a lot of it, and a fair amount of that came from Russia, or has come from Russia and Kazakhstan, and with limitations coming from those countries, including the recent U.S. ban on imports, although there is still some coming in at some point. We think that'll be cut off, and then they've got to find other supplies as far as access to uranium. And yeah, any domestic company in the United States will definitely be a part of the solution there, I think. And there is a lot of money coming from government to, near-term producers of uranium. And if we can get to that point, I think that's something that we can look at as well.
Rob, could you just go back to that last slide for just a sec?
Yeah, definitely.
Just to put this in context for our viewers, you can see the orange or the red there is domestic supply. You can see as you get into the 2020s, it almost disappears off the map. The U.S. uses on an annual basis 39 million pounds of uranium. That's the highest in the world. The production from the last year was 165,000 pounds of uranium. So the U.S. production is at a low point right now, and there is huge incentives from both sides of the aisle to increase that and to get U.S. back to producing some uranium. Hence our focus on the U.S. as an area for our projects. Basically, I just wanted to point that out, Rob. So
yeah, no, well said. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out for me.
And so I'm going to interrupt here and
Yeah,
my 2
no
bits.
problem,
I'm a
Martin.
big fan of the uranium as well. And there's so much technology innovation going on with the small micro reactors that I don't know, the demand is just going to be so much higher. And then one interesting thing I always like about uranium, unlike almost any other energy production system, is uranium actually is a very low part of the total cost of the energy production. So price of oil couldn't triple without hurting demand. Well, you could still double or triple the price of uranium, and it wouldn't really affect the economics of nuclear reactors. So there's still tons of room for uranium to run on a per pound price basis without affecting the market too much.
Yeah, well said. And I think, to the mini nuclear power plants, the small modular reactors, I think, with the needs of energy, including through AI and data centers, and, those are obviously things that are front of mind for a lot of people, is with such need of energy, where's the solution for, energy needs going to come from? And I think that, uranium makes a lot of sense. And as you can see, there's a lot of smaller reactors that are front of mind, and some are being built right now. So worldwide, I think there's 60 reactors that are nuclear reactors that are being built, and 110 in the works. But as far as small modular ones, there's going to be a lot more, I think, in the near term. So yeah, that's a good point, Martin. Thanks.
All right.
So, Bob, maybe you can hop in here. So just the history of Boulder Creek, we acquired this project with the knowledge of Mr. Bob Weicker, our head geologist. He was with Panther Minerals. They were the previous operators on the project, and I think it would be valuable to hear Bob's opinion on Boulder Creek and why it's so exciting for us.
As Rob pointed out, this is a photo of the airstrip that we'll be using for fixed wing aircraft. What you see in the lower left or right hand corner was the camp as it looked in between 2006 and 2008. That's when Tri-X Minerals was active on the property in a joint venture with Full Metals. So that was the last period of exploration on the property. And the property has really had two periods of exploration that coincide with uranium cycles. The original one was in the late 70s and early 1980s, and that was with Houston Oil and Gas. And that was a very common thing back in the late 70s. The oil and gas companies, being energy companies, were very big in uranium, and they were looking for projects. And that's when this project was discovered. That's when the historic resource was established back in 1982 on this project, 1 million pounds at 0.27. That's an open pit, basically open pit scenario for the resource. This is a sandstone hosted type of deposit, quite similar to many of the uranium deposits that are found in the Colorado Plateau in the U.S., Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. So it's a quite a usual host for uranium. And Houston Oil and Gas did the work in the late 70s, early 80s, and then Tri-X picked it up and did drilling. Tri-X took a larger view on the project, flew a very large radiometric survey, and uncovered a number of hotspots, which led to the discovery of the fireweed target about 25 kilometers to the northwest. So that's a major new target for us as well. That hasn't seen much work, but we hope that we find significant uranium on that discovery as well. So.
Yeah, well said. So just on the fireweed target, I mentioned it earlier too. So, there's been significant work done on the Boulder Creek portion, as you can see on this page here, the distance in between. So, as of now, it would be helicopter access to the fireweed portion. The Boulder Creek portion of the deposit is about 2 kilometers away from where the airstrip is. So the plan would be to fly in and then likely use a helicopter to get to both portions of it. That said, we are looking at a certain type of drilling that we'd like to use upon receiving our drill permit. So a question that we definitely get from investors is what can we expect to see this summer? And we are waiting for our drill permits. The process is underway. They're imminent. So I think that'll dictate kind of what we do this summer. But we have been in very far discussions with an option to do what's called RAB drilling, which is a mobile drill unit, which is basically, Bob may be able to explain this a bit better, but the opportunity is it cuts costs. You get shavings instead of core, and you can actually on site you'll get results. So you still need to send it out to get your assays, but you'll real time be able to see kind of the quality of what you're drilling. And I think that'll really add to our narrative as we're looking to get news flow out. And I think that's something that Panther's done a really good job of so far. Is everything we've done, we've let the public and our investors know. So, Bob, maybe just touch on RAB drilling and just how you see that as a beneficial opportunity for us.
Yes, one of the advantages of RAB drilling is it doesn't need a lot of water. And consequently, you don't need water lines or vehicles or anything to to supply the water. You don't get core samples. You get a powder or chips. You can log those. But the advantage, of course, with uranium exploration, you can downhole probe the holes as well and get a pretty good indication right away of if you've hit the mineralization or not. So that is our plans when we get the permits. I'll just comment on the permits as well. The original property was held under the BLM, a number of BLM claims, and we had the permit with the BLM. That's moving along well, and but because we have a camp in there, there's a number of state permits that are required as well, and those are in progress right now. Again, we haven't had any setbacks with the permitting. It just takes time, is basically what it comes down to.
With drilling for uranium, is it, and you're doing the downhole surveys there, or is it, what is it, a scintillometer, where can you just sort of run your check for radioactivity and that you won't know the exact mineralization or how it's sort of composed, but you'll know exactly or very close how much you have down there just based on the radioactivity?
Yes, that's correct. You'll have a very good indication. Standard procedure, say in the Colorado Plateau, was to use downhole scintillometers or spectrometers, and basically use that for resource estimation as well. So I mean, and that would be the same thing that we would use here. Of course, we will send it out for confirmation assay, but it'll give us a very good indication kind of live at the drill site of what we've hit. That'll let us plan the next holes, the next moves. The other advantage with these RAB drills is they're tracked vehicles, very low impact as far as environmental disturbances. And they have the capabilities to move to the next drill site, assuming it's not too far, on their own power as well. So that's another significant advantage. And that speeds up the process as well. You don't have to bring a chopper in necessarily for a move and such like that. So it saves on costs too. So.
As mentioned earlier by Martin, we do have a second project. So, in having an Alaskan property, the only variable that we had to deal with is the fact that, we're not far enough along to even think about doing a winter work program. So the season goes till September, potentially into October in Alaska. And, as we wait for permits, we're limited as far as time horizons. A plus about working in Alaska is you get a lot of light, so you can work essentially 24-hour days during the windows. But until we get our drill permits, we're not going to be able to be active and do drilling on that project. So that in mind, we wanted to bring on another project that would expand our narrative to year round. And we found the Huber Heights project, uranium project, which is in Nevada, which we can work year round. And this is it's still in the definitive stage, so it has been acquired, but we just need a couple more days for confirmation of which we'll release. So yeah, the project, the definitive is signed. It should be ours in a day or two, and then we'll be able to be active on it. And our plan is, once that's confirmed, is to be active on the project pretty much immediately. So we've been in discussions with local geologists who will go on site and do some sampling for us, and some soil and rock samples on the project, and then we'd look to do a survey on it as well. So as far as the project itself, is located in the Elko County's Mountain City Mining District in Nevada. There's excellent access to the project. And this project was actually found in the 50s during the uranium boom. So we're excited about accessing this project that has a lot of anomalies on it. We feel like it can be drilled fairly soon. Bob, do you want to add anything in here on the project itself?
Well, just a little background. We are focused on the U.S. We are focused on new acquisitions in the Great Basin as well. So this was a really good fit for us. It's an early stage project, but as Rob said, it has prospects. Most of the exploration on this project was done in that initial uranium boom in the 1950s and 1960s. We don't have the data on any of that work. but there are a number of prospects and old workings that we're going to resample. As he mentioned, we're going to send the geologist out there as soon as the definitive agreement is signed. So, so this another good fit for us. It's a project we can work year round and can advance quickly to the drill stage.
As far as the jurisdiction, when we were looking for additional projects to bring on, we wanted it to be in a jurisdiction where we knew would be mining friendly. We knew we'd be able to access it, and Nevada really met those benchmarks as far as options, as where we wanted to work. And Bob being our chief geologist, him knowing Nevada really well, helped buoy our decision as to decide to acquire this project. The terms are also good. It's a small cash payment and 5 million share issuance for the project, 100% of it. Just to touch a bit more on this project, it does neighbor the Racetrack open pit mine, which was a uranium producer. It was I think the largest producer in Elko County, which produced 10,000 pounds of U3O8 at 0.224% U3O8. So it's close to our project. It just kind of shows the area and the district, and we have anomalies on our project as well. Obviously, the hope is we get there, but it is nice to have some success close to us, and then also have companies like Kraken Energy, who are our neighbors on the east as well, or on the west as well. As far as comparables for us, this has been kind of a hard slide to put together, just especially when we were the sole uranium public company in Alaska. But I think that adds to our narrative is we're in a unique area that had proven work done on it, that had an airstrip that was explored enough to get us really excited about it. So, we looked at companies that, we want to kind of build ourselves after. Uranium Energy Corp, which was a US focus, but they have had some Canadian acquisitions recently, is a really good story and platform that we like to look at. There's other companies here which you can take a look at your own time, of course. But as far as Alaska, we're the only uranium public company, uranium focused public company in Alaska right now, which is interesting for us. But then also, to add Nevada to the story and show, we're beside Kraken Energy and some other companies as well. It really is really nice for our narrative.
I might just add to Rob that the company is a very new company. It basically has been around since March. So we're just coming out of the box really with these acquisitions and with this company.
Yeah.
Sorry, since you brought that up, can you just give us a bit of the history? Was it through an RTO that you guys sort of emerged in the spring, or explain your sort of origin story?
Yeah, I can hop in there. So Panther was originally Lithium Lion, which was a lithium focused company that went through a consolidation, and I wasn't involved in the previous company, but the mandate of the group was to find a uranium project, and they looked through hundreds of different assets, with Bob and with myself as well when I came on the company. So it was an acquisition of the Alaskan property, the Boulder Creek property, directly into the company, and then it just went through a brand and name change, as you do. So that was the process, and as Bob said, in March that happened. So yeah, we're very new. We're really excited about where we're going, but waiting for drill permits kind of aligns your path as far as how fast you can move sometimes. So we have been on site in Alaska. As far as work this winter, I'll touch on the next slide, but we still hope to do something fairly significant. But as I also said, time constraints can be an issue as far as being able to do extensive work, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. So here, I just want to touch on kind of where we're at and where we're going over the next couple months. So we have been completing data compilation. We have been doing a 4311 report on the property, not to make the resource compliant. That'll be a next year type thing for us. But we have a lot of data from our previous workers, including Houston Oil and Minerals, who had the 52-hole program. Their core is actually in Alaska, or sorry, in Anchorage, in a warehouse for us that we can access and get that data from. But there's also a lot of other data we're looking through, including Tri-X, whose core is on site, and then we have our other geologist who's an advisor who will touch on in a little bit, who's actively compiling all the data for us. So we're trying to get as much information as we can in Alaska. So when we do push forward with our work program, we'll know exactly where and what we're going to be doing as far as drilling and sampling and all that. So we're excited to be where we're at right now. We have a lot of information. We're still getting more. As far as what we can expect to see as far as work on the property, we're hoping to do some groundwork on our Boulder Creek project. It would be a focus on initially the fireweed portion of the project. We would do soil and rock sampling and potentially an airborne survey. So that is the hope. It probably will not be this month, it looks like, but we're in August. Once again, it'll be dictated by permits, but we're hoping to have that happen, and then we'll update everybody by a news release. Is there anything you want to add here, Bob?
Yeah, I might just add about some of the people on our team. So the vendor of the property is the same vendor since the late 1970s. So he's been with this property right from the Houston oil and gas days. He was the same guy who was involved with Full Metal and with Triax, and he's still very active. That's David Hadley Smith. He's very knowledgeable. He lived in Alaska, worked in Alaska. He lives in Washington now, but very familiar with both the geology of Alaska, and also the permitting and the people and everything else. So he's been really instrumental in kind of assisting with us. I talk with this guy every couple of days. The other thing is we use a consulting company, Alaska Earth Science, very well established in Anchorage. They're our lead contractor for the project. We also have a permit specialist as well, who's helping us with the permitting. Again, very knowledgeable in Alaska. So we have a really good team that are working with us to advance the project. And that's really helped move things along for us.
Yeah, one thing we've learned is to work in Alaska, you definitely need to know people there. And luckily with David Hadley Smith, he knows everybody. And then he was the one that told us, Alaska Earth Sciences is the mining group to use up there, and they've been amazing as far as managing what we've needed. So yeah, I'll just touch briefly on myself. I've been in the capital markets for 15 plus years. I've worked on many public companies, mainly mining, and I was looking for a path to work in the uranium space when this opportunity came up. So yeah, I'm excited to be working with Panther. David Beck's our CFO, who has 30 years experience in management roles as CFO as well. So I'll just jump the independent directors, and then as we heard about David Hadley Smith, and he's been crucial for us so far. He's the vendor, but he's also an advisor to the company. We have a bit over 30 million shares outstanding. I think today we're trading mid low 40s. With a market cap of about 15 million. So this is dated a few days ago, or about 10 days ago. But yeah, we've traded really well since the onset. We did a $2 million raise about 3 weeks ago that we closed. We have about $1 million in the bank, and yeah, we have significant cash in the bank to at least initiate work in either Nevada or hopefully Alaska, depending on when the permits come back. So we do have cash available to us, but we'll likely do a financing in the future that will really expand our hopes of the work programs we want to complete.
Thank you. Good introduction to this story, and looks like good opportunities. There are some questions here from the audience. Do you have any plans for a proper U.S. stock listing? And I guess that especially makes sense given your assets are all U.S., and that could definitely cause a little more interest from U.S. investors. What are your plans there?
Very, very good question. It's underway. We had a pink sheet listing, or we have one. We're going to be having a QB listing, we expect, in the next 2-3 weeks. So I know pink sheets can be kind of tough to trade in the US, but yeah, having this QB listing will be, I think, really crucial for us because, yeah, I mean, we're a U.S. story. We want to market in the U.S. as well. And the best way to do that is obviously have people be able to access your stock. So yeah, we'll announce that when it's up and live. But we're expecting it's been underway for about a month. So we'll have a QB listing very soon.
Gotcha. The property itself, I think it's BLM land, and can you, like, is it expensive carrying costs on there, or are you focused on sort of picking out the high priority areas to sort of drop off the not so prospective land? Because it's quite a substantial piece of land you got up there.
Maybe I'll jump in on that, Rob.
Yeah, sure.
The original the deposit is located on 11 federal BLM claims. But then when we enlarged the property, those are all state claims. Okay. And BLM fees, you pay an annual maintenance fee. State claims, you pay a fee as well, but it's quite reasonable. Right now we have no plans to drop any ground. We established the same position that basically was established in 2006 to 2008 by Tri-X, and that was to cover well all the prospective areas and the fireweed the target as well to the northeast or the northwest then. So yeah, we have no plans at this time to, I mean, eventually we'll be, as we do more work on these projects, we might trim it back, but right now it's 9,000 hectares, so it's a very large property.
It has a historical resource estimate on it. Would you have to do like confirmatory drilling to sort of verify, because you do have their core samples there? How much work would it take to sort of get a fresh and compliant resource estimate on the Boulder Creek?
We don't know the answer to that question exactly yet. We will have to do some twin holes, some confirmation drilling.
Yeah.
Part of the reason we don't know the answer is we don't know what shape the Tri-X core is in, and if it's relatively secure or if it's been disturbed. We know there's been a little bit of damage to some of the stacks of core. We've sent guys in there. They've done a site visit, but we would have to go in there and do a detailed analysis of the core and of the intercepts. Of course, as in most cases, you drill, you do a lot of drilling, but there's only a relatively small number of intervals that are mineralized. So we have to go in there and we have to assess that, is what it comes down to. So.
Okay, so your priorities are on the Boulder Creek. When you get your permits, you continue the exploration to kind of narrow down your targets. So do you have actual drill targets at this point, or you've got a little bit of work to do before you could sort of punch your first hole?
On Boulder Creek, we have actual drill targets right now. We've got a drill plan. We had to do that to submit it to the BLM as well. We had to lay out where our holes were. Okay. Yeah. Fireweed, we did that as well, but on fireweed, we don't have a lot of data on fireweed. Back in 2006, 2008, that was outside of the vendor's area of influence, and so we haven't been able to recover some of that data. So on fireweed, what we have to do is we have to go up, we have to take our own samples, do our own work up there. And that's something that we plan on doing this summer, basically, is what it comes down to kind of bring that to the drill phase. That would be drilled next year, sometime next year, then, is what it comes down to. Now, the other thing about fireweed is it's a significantly different style of mineralization. It's intrusive hosted. We don't know much more about it at this point, but it might be some similarities to some of the deposits in Namibia, some of the deposits in Australia. Also, the grade at fireweed, the grade seems to be substantially higher, and also the aerial extent of it, from what we know right now, is larger than at Boulder Creek. We've had samples at fireweed that run up to 0.82% U3O8. And you know, there was sampling done in 2007. The lowest number was kind of 0.1%, up to 0.8 as well. So really encouraging samples, but we have to get up there and we have to basically assess it and kind of try and figure out what geological model that fits.
And then I guess with the areas that, like you've got like you were saying, a relatively short window with the weather in Alaska, and then you'll do some right now, I guess, some initial exploration work, but you got $1 million in the bank that gets you. You could potentially get some very interesting data out of that. But then to do further work down in I guess the next phase of exploration would be in Nevada, where you can work all winter long, and then you can maybe raise some more money and create some value and explore that property and put a focus there.
Yes, and one of the things we will be doing in Nevada right away, as soon as the definitive agreement is signed, is we're sending a team, a geologist and helpers down there to take some initial samples and to visit some of the prospects and showings. That'll happen very, very quickly, sort of thing. So that'll be an initial site visit, and then from that, then that'll help us base a larger program that might happen in the fall, or it could even happen in the winter. I mean, the Huber Heights does get some snow, but not that much. So I mean, there might be a month or so where it might be difficult to work, but for the most part, it's a year-round program. And if you were drilling, it wouldn't impact the drilling at all if you had a drill program on it. So but we don't have drill targets on that property yet. That's something that we'd be working on.
The definitive is signed, so we're just waiting for confirmation from the CSE. So
okay.
so that should be soon. And then yeah, just to Bob's point, we definitely have plans as to what we're going to do in the Huber Heights project. In Alaska, obviously we're waiting for our drill permits, but we still want to be on site doing some sampling, primarily in the fireweed portion, so we can kind of dictate next year's plan, because when the drill permits do come in, they're multi-year drill permits.
Okay.
And if we're not able to drill this year, you know, we can set ourselves up even better for next. So so it's nice to have that in hand.
All right. Any final comments here? Just leave investors or potential investors with food for thought as we and what to look out for as we wrap things up.
Yeah, I think, you know, one thing that we continuously do is keep people informed. So if you follow Panther Minerals, we'll have continuous news flow. We're an active company. We're not looking to sit on our hands and, you know, wait for next year's work program in Alaska if we don't end up drilling this year. So we're going to be active. We're going to be working on both projects as much as we can. And yeah, just stay tuned for news flow, because we'll have it.
And then I'll just add one point to that, Martin, as well. We are always looking for additional projects in the U.S. You know, I have a good network of projects that come in. You know, we kiss a lot of frogs, but you know, and don't take many. But yeah, we're always looking as well for additional projects or uranium projects in the U.S. too. So,
are you focused exclusively on uranium, or if you see another, I don't know, other type of project, you could swerve your focus a bit?
It's definitely a uranium focus, uranium US focus. That's our narrative, and we think that is a strong narrative for the upcoming future years too. So that's our focus. Yeah, we're looking for additional assets in the future, but right now we're really happy with the two we have. And you know, our marquee project is absolutely our Alaskan one that has a lot of historic work and has a lot of money spent on it. So yeah, I think we're in a good place. We're a new company. You know, we trade well. We have good visibility so far. So yeah, it should be a fun next few months here.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. That was great to learn the Panther Minerals story and have another way to play the uranium market. Thanks. Great to have you here. I'd love to get you back when you've got some new data and so forth, and we can discuss how things are progressing.
Thank you, Mark.
Great. Thank you so much.